Hello, and welcome to this afternoon's Tech in Asia live session. Thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Maria Lee, and I'm the COO of Tech in Asia. I've been really looking forward to today's conversation with Chatri Sityodtong, the founder, chairman, and CEO of One Championship. As most of y'all know, since One was established in 2011, it has skyrocketed in popularity to become the #1 sports media property in Asia. One events are now broadcast in over 150 countries, reaching potentially 2.7 billion viewers, and they put on some really incredible events. With that said, I'm certainly not a sports expert, and MMA falls a bit outside of TIA scope. So today's fireside chat with Chatri will focus on the less talked about, but equally interesting and impressive startup and tech side of One Championship, including how One has grown to its unicorn status, how they've pivoted their business model amidst COVID-19, and how they plan on using the upcoming season of The Apprentice to support other startups in the region. Now, let me please welcome the man with the vision and the one leading this charge, Chatri Sityodtong, the founder, chairman, and CEO of One Championship.
Hey, Maria, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks so much for joining us today. All right, so we've managed to snag 45 minutes of your time. No easy task, I might add. And so for those at home, please feel free to drop any questions you have in the comment box. Our team will filter through all those questions for Chatri once we get to the Q&A section. All right, Chatri. So obviously the last few months have been pretty hectic. And here in Singapore, we finally have moved out of circuit breaker into phase 1. Just for starters, how are you keeping staying at home right now?
Well, I have a heavy bag. I have my martial arts equipment, and I'm all set. So every day I'm doing Muay Thai or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and that keeps me sane. Training 1 to 2 hours every day. But yeah, it's been tough for me. I think we're now going on over 60 days at home. So I'm sure everyone's feeling the sense of cooped up energy. But crazy enough, I've been doing these Zoom meetings literally morning and night with my team, with our partners around the world, with athletes, with customers, and whatnot. So it's been a super hectic time.
Yeah, definitely. It's like all the barriers between work and life have been completely blurred. Well,
right.
Good to see that you're on brand and working out a lot at home. Do you have any sparring partners?
No, I don't. But I mean, I guess that's the thing I miss most right now is like I really can't wait till the gyms are open up and I can go back to my martial arts training.
Yeah, phase 2 soon, hopefully. Cool. So let's talk about, I think, a little bit more of the business side behind One first, specifically on valuation and startup financing, which I think a lot of Tech in Asia's audience is super interested in. So One became a unicorn. For those who don't know, a unicorn is a startup that's valued above 1 billion USD. So you became a unicorn in October 2018 with your Series D round, at which point you joined the ranks of other Singaporean companies like Razer, C Group, and Grab. So was hitting a unicorn status always something that was in your goal? And was it something that you were targeting for and kind of gunning for, or did it just happen naturally as One was growing?
No, valuation is not something I really think about a lot. I don't focus on it. I think valuation to me is just an outcome of good work, just like anything else in life. So I focus primarily on making sure that we deliver outstanding product, that we deliver outstanding TV ratings, that we have incredible digital online viewership and social media viewership, the things that we can do to excite and delight our fans, the things that we can do to delight and excite our broadcast partners and our athletes and our entire ecosystem around the world. Those are the things that matter most. So I think, the media likes to glorify valuations, but I think valuations go up and they go down, right? So don't tie your definition of success to an arbitrary number in a given point in time.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. So then as you were raising your Series D round, what was the primary value proposition that you were kind of talking to investors about? Were you selling, One, I think, is such a unique blend of like so many different components. So were you kind of going based off of a sports media company, a content platform, the community that you have behind you? Like, what was the main thrust of your pitch?
Right. So prior to the Series D round, I was very blessed with the precious opportunity to have breakfast with Mike Moritz and Douglas Leone, the global managing partners of Sequoia Capital here in Singapore. And they really opened my eyes with incredible questions, but also incredible insights about how one championship is actually no different than a tech company, in that the incremental margin, once you build a product, and whether you're broadcasting to one country or 150 countries, their incremental margins are literally 100%. The same thing if you build a software company, and once you build it and you sell to each incremental customer, it doesn't cost you anything to sell that software. And it really helped me think about the business in a different way in terms of even our digital products journey, with our video games that are launching this summer, and all the other, our mobile app that launched with a huge content stack. And the interesting thing about sports media properties that people don't realize are they are some of the most powerful business models in the world, in the sense that let's take a look at NFL. That's the world's most valuable sports media property today. It has a $92 billion market cap. People don't realize that. It's a single country sport for Americans only, American football, and it's worth $92 billion. And there's no number two, number three, there isn't. So effectively, sports media properties at scale are monopolies. I mean, they're so irreplaceable in terms of they are the part of the fabric of society, culture, tradition, history, people's everyday talk, their lives. And on top of it, businesses, governments, broadcasters, brands, agencies, everyone derives massive economic value. So actually, sports media properties are the ultimate platform business. And they're virtually indestructible once you get to scale. And that's something that, again, we've been fortunate at One Championship to get to scale very quickly, in that we are now ranked amongst the top 10 in the world in terms of viewership numbers. And our goal, our genuine goal, is to overtake NFL in the future and become the #1 sports media property in the world.
Okay. We're a little bit out of my area of expertise. What does that really mean? Like, how would you know like when you have overtaken the NFL? Is it based on, it's definitely not based on viewers, because I think you've already beat the NFL on that.
Right. Well, on some metrics we've beat NFL, and obviously some, I would say, again, there are many metrics to define what is, whether you're large. For me, the largest is viewership numbers, okay? Because in the end of the day, your viewership numbers are going to drive everything else, whether it's a subscription business model, whether it's advertising, whether it's our merchandise business, whether it's our digital products businesses. There's just a whole plethora of things that you can do once you have massive viewership. It's no different than Facebook, right? Facebook, for the first 5 years, Mark Zuckerberg was solely focused on user growth, community, reach, frequency, and engagement. And then he started to monetize once he was at scale. The same thing goes for actually all platform businesses, whether it's a Gojek or a Grab. Their whole thing is about building scale, getting as many users as possible in terms of reach, frequency, engagement numbers, and having a platform that generally is plugged into people's lives and ecosystem. And that's very much the same thing as sports media properties. I mean, if you think about it, there are only several multi-billion-dollar sports media properties around the world of significance in each region. And that was my thesis when I started One Championship. I said, look, you go to North America, there's NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, NASCAR, all multi-billion-dollar, worth tens of billions. And as I said, NBA is worth $54 billion, and NFL is worth $92 billion. Then you go to Europe, it's Champions League, it's EPL, it's F1, also all worth tens of billions. You come to Asia at the time, literally nothing at scale. There are country-specific properties like an IPL that's worth $7 billion. That's cricket in India only, but it doesn't scale globally. Mm-hmm. And then so I had the crazy idea of like, let me try to unify 4 billion people and celebrate Asia's greatest cultural treasure, which is martial arts, 5,000-year history in the region. There's a martial art in every single country. And if you look at parents all over the continent, they send their kids to martial arts schools even to this day. And why do they do that? It's actually nothing to do with martial arts. It has to do with teaching the kids humility, honor, respect, courage, discipline, compassion, integrity, all the foundational values of Asian society, of Asians, and also the foundational values of success in life. And that was literally the genesis of me starting. And so for me, when I say I want to be the #1 in the world, I want to be the most watched sports property in the world, because from there, everything comes to fruition. Here's why I believe when people say, oh, that's impossible, Chuck, that's crazy. Okay, so here's this very simple math for everyone to digest. In America, there are 325 million people. Super Bowl, which is once a year, the biggest event of the year, has 100 million viewers. Out of the 300 million, coast to coast, 3-hour time zone difference between East Coast and West Coast in America. So 1 in 3 people watch the Super Bowl, the biggest event, for 100 million viewers. Last October, we hit 88 million viewers, our event in Tokyo. But here's a crazy thing. That same 3-hour time zone that you get in America, which you get 325 million potential viewers, the same 3-hour time zone in Asia is 3 billion viewers. So hypothetically, for us to hit 88 million, even though that's a big number, it's actually a drop in the bucket relative to 3 billion. Now, if we could ever, and this is a crazy dream of mine, and I tell this to my team, that my dream is to get 1 in 3 Asians to watch our live events. And here's the thing, like when we hit 88 million, actually it was 89, but 88 point something million, 88.7 I think million it was. When we hit that number, and you roll forward back 4 years, just 4 years, that same number was 450,000. 450,000 viewers to 89 million in 4 years, okay? In a single event. If you just do the exponential growth that One Champion has been experiencing and you look at the market opportunity, there's no reason why there can't be 1 in 3 Asians watching, 1 billion people watching the event live. Now you start thinking about digital products. In China, you see the people give virtual donuts or flowers. You can think about digital products. You start thinking about merchandise, selling it on a live event. You look at the likes of Lazada or Shopee or all these guys, Alibaba, and they're live streaming content, right? In order to sell products. The opportunities for One Championship are literally limitless. If you're a brand and you want to get in touch with millennials, 80% of One Championship's fan base are millennials, young millennials. And so if you want to get in touch and deeply connect with them, there's nothing better than what One Champion is offering today. And again, we don't have any competitors. That's another weird thing that, I guess either I was stupid or crazy, whatever you want to call it. But no one has ever attempted what we've done in the last 8.5 years. And so that's why we're kind of here with a 90% plus market share. And the other 3 or 4 each have less than 1%. And so, it's just, we're in a very unique position now as Asia's largest global sports media property. And so when I look at the whole world, I look at throwing events in Europe, in North America, in Latin America, because our formula for success is very, very, very scalable. I always tell internally, it's values, heroes, and stories. So values, we celebrate these incredible values of integrity, humility, honor, respect, courage, discipline, compassion, the true values of martial arts. Heroes, we unleash real-life superheroes who ignite the world with hope, strength, dreams, and inspiration. And the third is stories, telling their stories of impossible odds, overcoming tragedy, adversity, poverty. And so you can inspire the world. And when you look at these 3 pillars, that's the exact same formula that Olympics uses every 4 years to ignite the entire planet. Mm-hmm. And so do you watch Olympics because you run the 100-meter dash or you love the pole vault or that you actually swim? No, you watch Joseph Schooling for Singaporeans swim because it's about values, heroes, and stories. Actually, I don't even know how many swimmers there are in Singapore. Maybe there's 100,000 swimmers. Maybe competitively there's only 1,000 swimmers, maybe maximum. But yet the whole country watched when Joseph Schooling beat Michael Phelps for the gold medal Olympics. That is what One Champion is about. It's about igniting the hearts and minds of, hopefully one day, the entire planet.
Yeah, I mean, a very noble goal, and obviously wish you all the best in that. But to bring it back, I think, to what you're saying about the tech platform, tech platforms, you're right, especially the social ones. First you build the traffic and you get the audience and the viewership and you get the numbers and then you monetize. Where do you think one is along that journey? Are you still in the phase of building up your audience base? Because it sounds like a lot already. Or have you moved into the monetization? Or how's that going?
Yeah, definitely. So again, we were very blessed to have Sequoia Capital, Temasek, GIC, Iconic, Green Oaks, all the incredible institutional investors who have backed One Champ, who believe in our vision, who believe in our mission. So we were very fortunate. For the first 8 years, we literally only had to focus on reach, frequency, engagement. Once we became top 10 global property, just so you know, so we're bigger than F1. People don't realize our numbers, all of our metrics are bigger than F1. Of course, F1 is a $14 billion property because they've been around for 70 years. We've only been around for 8.5 years. But in terms of pure viewership metrics, digital metrics, social media metrics, whatever you want to call it, we're bigger than F1. So now we're taking the journey of, okay, now the world is watching. We're a top 10 property. We're obviously number one in Asia. Now we can monetize 9 ways to Sunday, in which we have been. So whether it's additional content stacks like esports, whether it's the Apprentice show that we're launching with one world champions embedded, whether it's our video games that are coming out. So we have a slew of video games coming out this summer, mobile video games on our app. And then on top of it, in 2 years, we have our first big game that launches. And then we launched One Studios, which is our TV and movie division last year. And so you start looking at all the things we can do. We just launched our merchandise division 2 months ago, and it's already doing extremely well in terms of sales. So when you look at all the different things that you can do now, once you have a big audience, right? It's endless. It's literally endless. I mean, we could launch one championship soccer, one championship badminton. There's just a whole stack of things we could do hypothetically. I mean, we're not going to do that. But once you've built a platform, once you've built an ecosystem, and the entire ecosystem derives economic and social value from your platform, and once you know, again, the incremental margins for content spreading is literally zero. I mean, the incremental costs of our content spreading around the world is zero. So if we added another 50 countries, right, it costs us zero, and yet those 50 countries will monetize in big ways, whether it's media rights, people paying us for our content, whether it's merchandise, whether it's digital products, whether it's, one chapter gyms. So we've been approached in the last 3 years. We've been approached by different various partners who wanted to launch a chain of 1,000 gyms across Asia. One Champion Gyms wanted to launch a protein shake with us. Wanted to launch video games, bobblehead dolls, those little dolls of our heroes. We've had a lot of energy drink to compete against Red Bull in Asia. So there's a lot of things that we've just not done that are perpetual options built into the platform that we can launch at any time if we want to.
Right. So this is the time where you start reaping those rewards. So, I mean, I think what you mentioned is probably a challenge that lots of founders struggle with, which is prioritization and focus, right? So obviously you guys are really spread out into like many different verticals and different areas. How do you keep yourself and your team organized and focused? And then how do you like kind of prioritize all these different opportunities that you could potentially go after?
So I think that's probably my biggest weakness or biggest fault. I have many faults as a leader, but that is one of them. I would say is that I'm a perpetual optimist, and so I'm always pushing us to do more products, do more content stacks. So that's how we launched One Esports. That's why we launched the Apprentice. That's why we're launching more content stacks that are coming out. That's why we launched One Warrior Series, our reality TV travel show. We have a lot of different content stacks. But I think this whole global crisis, this whole COVID thing, has been a massive blessing in disguise in that the last 2 months, of course, have been packed with meetings all day with my team and customers and our partners. But I've had a lot of time also to reflect. And what I realized, and I had dinner with Shailendra Singh, the managing partner of Sequoia, ASEAN and India, and he said something very, very insightful to me, and it stuck with me. He said, Chatri, One Champion is in a very unique position where it is asset light, IP heavy, with perpetual options built in. His exact words were perpetual options built in, meaning that all these options of all these different businesses, all these different revenue streams, they will forever be there because our numbers continue to grow every week, every day, every week, every month. So take your time, prioritize, sharpen your focus. This was his advice. And I think that's why I'm so grateful that we've had time to pause, because the last 8.5 years for me has just been go, 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 go. And it's just been let me rewind. The first 3 years of One Champ was absolute disaster. Failure after failure, rejection after rejection, thousands. No investor wanted to invest in us. No brands wanted to be associated. Every broadcaster, my friends and my family said I was crazy and stupid, burning through millions of dollars of my own money and my best friend's money, and no TV ratings. And it was just a disaster for 3 years. The year 4 to year 8, or 8.5, has been just a going 1,000 miles an hour, a million things happening. We're looking at our viewership numbers exploding, our organic numbers exploding, and trying to catch up, and our number of events exploded. Just on even social, our social numbers 4 years ago, for the entire year, our social video views, organic, was 143,000. And we crossed 4 billion, and we're on pace for much bigger than that already this year, in 4 years. And no other sports property in the world has achieved that. So it's been crazy. So having this time to sit down and say, what are all the things we did right? And what are all the things we did wrong? And also have the time to reflect about myself as a leader, my strengths and my weaknesses, my mistakes, my flaws. And so I actually I'm very grateful. I mean, I know it sounds crazy and perverse, because most CEOs around the world are panicked and freaked out, and it's global crisis, once in 100 years. But I'm genuinely inspired and excited, and I wake up earlier than I ever have. I don't want to go to bed. I feel like there's so much I want to do, but I'm much more focused and prioritized and sharp about what it is we're going to do for the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. And so that, again, this pause has allowed me to reflect. Otherwise, we've been throwing events every week in different cities. I'm flying to Tokyo, to Shanghai, to Beijing, to Bangkok, to Jakarta, and Dubai. I'm just flying everywhere, and I just had no time to sit and reflect. And my team didn't either. And so we're taking this opportunity. I'm very grateful for it.
So people are talking a lot about the post-COVID economy. Who's the post-COVID Chatri? What differences are we going to see from your 2-month reflection period?
So I think I want to be a better leader to serve my team, and that means a lot of different things. I want to spend more time helping them, train them, develop them. It means less on our plate, so we're more focused in priorities. It means trying to really, again, for 8.5 years, or rather for 8.5 years, we were just flat out, maxed out, just did everything. And I want to breathe, and I want my team to breathe. So that's my reflection, is be more strategic, understand what Shailendra had taught me, that the word perpetual options, and again, most businesses don't have perpetual options embedded. They just don't. But if you build a true platform business that continues to grow daily, weekly, monthly, every stat I get, we just continue to grow. And it's organic. These are all organic. And so for me, it's just really about, okay, I got to understand, like, I can launch, one champion of soccer anytime I want to. I can launch a video game when I don't have to launch today. I can launch a chain of gyms, 1,000 gyms across Asia when I want to, not because I can do it now, it's going to disappear. The option is always going to be there, and our fan base is only growing. So therefore, the probability of success of these business units and these revenue streams are only going to increase, right? So it's really about sharpening focus and prioritization. I think that's going to be a very big theme for One Championship in the next year, as well as the next 3 years.
Cool. Very exciting. So one of those focus areas that I think will remain on the table is definitely the Apprentice. There's been a lot of awesome hype about it. Just kind of curious to hear, what was the origin story of you and your team like sitting down together and deciding to bring the apprenticeship and revive it with, now with the Asian flair and with you as the host?
Yeah. So One Championship actually co-owns the Apprentice, this edition of the Apprentice, with MGM. And the idea was very simple. We wanted to find a content stack that was general entertainment, that would be broadcast in 150 countries, but mainstream, truly mainstream, where everyone would watch it and talk about it. So we said, okay, what reality TV show brand is most recognizable? And as we did our research, obviously Apprentice is one of the most recognized brand names, but it was kind of an old brand, and it was a tired brand, in my opinion, right? It's still being broadcast. The UK version is there, and we're doing a truly global version. Even the American version was just for America only, and whereas this one's a truly global version. And we decided to make it cool, hip, sexy, and glamorous, we're going to bring all of our world champions, our top world champions, to become on the show and compete against the 16 contestants. So the only thing that's the same about the show is it's called The Apprentice. The winner gets a 250,000 USD job offer to work for me as my protege in entrepreneurship. Everything else is different. So we have business challenges, but I've also invited 12 incredible CEOs. We've announced a couple of them, and some of the other names that we're going to announce are going to blow people away. But obviously, we've announced Ankiti Bose from Zilingo. We've announced Patrick Grove from iFlix. And we have a few other announcements coming up, and some really incredible CEOs who are going to be guest judges with me. One CEO per episode. But also, we're bringing 12 world champions to compete against the 16 contestants in adventure challenges. So whether it is, rock climbing or whether it's, these think of it as almost like Amazing Race. And so there's a lot of incredible stuff for the business crowd. You're going to get real CEO advice. You're going to learn about entrepreneurship. You're going to hear my views on entrepreneurship. You're going to see real business contestants trying to compete for a job or win championship. But you're also going to see the fun general entertainment side, where you're going to see people, fall splash in a puddle of mud in pursuit of something crazy. You might even have contestants having to eat spiders, a live spider. We're going to have crazy, wacky ideas against a world champion of one championship. So what happens is this show ends up becoming not really about the Apprentice. It becomes about one championship infused with the top startup CEOs as well as the top entrepreneurs in the region, in Asia. And so many things are going to come out of it that are going to be so exciting and fun and different. And for us, this is our first project for One Studios, our TV and movie division, and we want to make it a global hit. So, of course, we're getting contestants from around the world, but we're also getting judges from around the world, and our athletes are world champions from around the world. So we'll get our American world champion, we're going to get our Russian world champion, we're going to get our Filipino world champion, our Japanese world champion, and really, make it a true global feel for the show. And I think it's going to be a smash hit. I mean, already on the numbers alone, we should break the record and be the most watched Apprentice ever in history, because every other Apprentice has been country specific. This is the first time to launch the Apprentice that's truly global. And so I'm super fired up for it, because again, this is how people learn about one championship. You see, when I first started one championship 8.5 years ago, it was purely a martial arts thing. And as I realized more and more, like this, of course, I'm a lifelong martial artist. I've been doing martial arts for 35 years. It's my greatest passion in life. But when I look at what has martial arts taught me, yes, it's taught me to defend myself. Yes, I can kick ass and
Take names.
but that's not the real meaning of martial arts. The real meaning of martial arts is unleashing your greatness in life, genuinely. When you inherit these values, one of my grandmasters used to make me train for thousands of hours, and I used to cry, and I used to be like, or when I lost a fight, the lessons that came with that, of perseverance, of grit, of resilience, and all these incredible values. And I realized, what One Champions is really about is our mission. When I wrote on the first day, we wrote down, our mission is to unleash real-life superheroes who ignite the world with hope, strength, dreams, and inspiration. Not about fighting. It's not about fights. It's not about revenue. Our mission is to unleash real-life superheroes who ignite the world with hope, strength, dreams, and inspiration. And so, people have a misconception. Oh, One Champ is a fight thing. Oh, it's a huge platform business, massive content and tech stack, digital products, and of course, ultimately, a huge, incredible sports property embedded into it. If you think about Disney, Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, kind of along with that, I mean, it's interesting that the first two guest judges for The Apprentice are Patrick and Ankiti, very well-known names amongst Southeast Asia's startup ecosystem. And so clearly, I think there is that need or that desire to kind of elevate Southeast Asia's startup ecosystem on a global level. And just kind of wondering, like, given your own experiences, like how that thread got brought into the show and how you guys are working it in throughout the different episodes and the season narrative.
Sure. So when my team and I brainstormed about The Apprentice and co-owning it with MGM, we said, look, I said, I want nothing to do with The Apprentice, the brand or the the connotations of the brand or the how tired and old the show was, in my opinion. I wanted, if we're going to do this, guys, I said, let us blow everyone away with something completely new. The only thing that should be the same is Apprentice, because there's obviously hundreds of millions of Apprentice fans globally, right? So I said, I want to ride that popularity, but I want people to be blown away. And so the first thing was, okay, let's bring our world champions. Let's show one champion. Let's do something about martial arts and esports, what one champion does. Okay, that's a good idea. Let's bring in the world champions in esports as well. Okay, cool. And what else can we do that makes it totally different? And then somebody said, "What, Chatri, have you seen Shark Tank before?" And I said, yeah, it's a good concept. We could do that too and stuff like that. And then eventually we came like, hey, why don't we get 12 of the greatest startup CEOs of all of Asia and bring them together on one show, and so everyone, not only just the tech ecosystem or entrepreneurship or VC ecosystem, but literally the entire world can learn about these incredible entrepreneurs and watch them in action as judges of these contestants. And I got lucky. Many of these, I mean, Ankiti is a friend, Patrick's a friend, and the big announcements we're going to make coming up. A lot of them are already my friends who have their own incredible journey of entrepreneurship, and they have so much to share with the world. So again, it's there's gonna be funny moments, there's gonna be drama, there's gonna be sad moments, there's gonna be angry moments. It was kind of funny because I just had a call last week with the executive producer and her vision of the show, because we're going to go into production in end of the summer. And she's like, Chatri, many people have heard of your temper. Is it very true? I have a bad temper. And are you afraid of using it on the show? And I said, the only thing that I care about is being authentic. I want to be the real me, which is 95% of the time I'm a happy-go-lucky guy. I'm very intense. I'm very tough, whatever. But I don't lose my temper, right? But she's like, oh, but can you? So you're gonna see some really crazy, dramatic moments, because the challenges that the contestants are gonna be put in. You may see some people do crazy things, and I may have to step in somehow, right? So I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be funny for everybody. But for me, the most important thing was I wanted to be the real me on the show, and I wouldn't do it otherwise. So that was something I told MGM, because MGM gave a guideline. They said, you have to say you're fired, and I said, no, I'm not going to do that. That's not my personality. So
wait, so what is your catchphrase?
Well, you're going to have to watch the show.
Okay, fine. Fair enough. Definitely looking forward to that. All right, so we only have a few more minutes left before we go over to Q&A. Wanted to talk to you about how your business is doing amidst COVID. And so there's obviously a few factors in play here. Like, you guys are primarily known for these incredible high production value events with sold out arenas and pyrotechnics and things like that. And then last year just started your foray into esports. So obviously events is, hasn't been going on across the world for the last few months. So how are you pivoting the business during the current global shutdown?
So obviously, like all other companies and startups around the world, this is a major, major global crisis, once in 100 years. Genuinely, when my leadership team asked me, why am I so calm? Because I'm not worried, I'm not scared, none of that. Because I've been personally through 3 global crises in my lifetime, and the very first one wiped out my family, where the bank came and took the home and the car, and we had no place to go. And then my father abandoned us in the 90s, right? The Asian financial crisis. So I'd lived through financial crises, and I've seen people get wiped out.
Chatri? Oh no. Hey everyone, not sure if I think we lost Chatri clearly. Let's just give him 1 second to log back in. There we go. Hey.
Sorry about that.
I didn't know if I froze or you froze, so I think I was just like blinking.
I don't know what happened.
Okay.
So what was I saying? I forgot.
Well, you were talking about your family getting wiped out in the Asian financial crisis. Right. So I feel very bad reminding you of that.
No, not at all. It's just part of my personal history. So, this is the toughest global crisis, bar none, that any CEOs face. I've talked to many CEOs in the last 3 months, all over the world. I talked to my friends and every single board of directors, every single CEO, every single leadership team. It's a very, very perplexing time. We've been told by, and again, I respect Sequoia Capital so much. Their view of the world specifically is, look, the next 24 months will be a time of very low visibility. There may be spikes in the virus and then hence more lockdowns. There may be more borders opening up, but then more borders shutting down. It's a time of very low visibility where, again, right now in Singapore, okay, fine, it's the first day of the circuit breakers ending. But is it? Because in a month, if we get a spike in the next few weeks, we're going to be back home in lockdown mode again, right? And every country is facing this. And so, yes, we're seeing airports open up, but for how long? So my team and I are bracing for the worst global disaster. Just from a few stats for you, there's 40 million Americans now unemployed. That's 1 in 4 people of the American labor force. 1 in 4. And who's to say that this is not the beginning? It could be 1 in 2 in just a few more months. And why do I say that? Obviously, the lockdowns did a lot of damage, but now there are protests and riots in 78 cities in America.
Yep.
You look at GDP rate, you look at any economic data across any country, and they've completely collapsed. Only the stock market, which I believe will end up collapsing in the end, has hung in with the hope that things will bounce back. Now, of course, a small percentage of businesses around the world, like EduTech or Zoom, are doing very well in this stay-at-home environment. But the vast majority of companies are getting destroyed. I mean, hammered, right? I think it's just a part of learning and growing as a leadership team. But for me, I've seen this movie 3 times before, and so it's just about being very smart about your cost structure, being very smart about your efficiency, being very thoughtful about your priorities, and like every other crisis where the doomsday sayers would say the world has changed and it will forever be this way. That's literally the commentary of every pundit during the absolute low of the crisis, right? But one thing I know is humans are resilient, and life will come back. I predict life will come back. I don't know if it's 24 months or 48 months or 3 months from now, but life will come back to normal. We will go out to restaurants and have fun with our friends. We'll go to the malls again. We'll go to the parks and have fun with our families. Nothing's going to change. Humans are resilient. If you look at all the national, global or national disasters, whether they're natural or man-made, yes, they were horrific. After World War II, 10 years of recession. But mankind, humanity, I have so much faith in hard work, in our warrior spirit as humanity, and our creativity and originality. I'm very optimistic. Like again, this is a small bump in the road. When we look back on life, this will be an incredible learning and growth experience for everyone who's involved, who's living in this time. We learned so much, and what I've learned even more. I guess it's given even more faith for me in the beauty of humanity. What do I mean by that? All of us are stuck at home, spending more time with our loved ones. And at the same time, you see so many beautiful acts by nurses and doctors on the front lines of altruism, of genuine altruism. You hear so many stories of kindness to strangers. You see so much compassion and love. And here's the crazy, the pollution index has had the biggest drop ever since mankind has ever recorded. The ozone, part of the ozone layer are now fixed. I mean, it's crazy. Here we were, everyone was panicked about, saving the earth. And it's like almost like Mother Nature, the universe, or God, or somebody told us, hey, it's time to slow down and reflect about life and think deeply about what's important, what's not. And so again, for me, this whole 60 days has been, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for the time to think, the time to see so much beauty in the world, to see so many beautiful acts. And I'm just genuinely so inspired.
You sound very zen, which is great. But at the same time, obviously, you know, on the business side, you know, how are you, like many founders and business owners right now, they don't, like, there is a ton of uncertainty, of course, but they don't really know how to deal with it. And so, and especially for one, given how heavily y'all usually rely on events, like, you know, where are you seeing as bright spots within your business, things that are coming up because people are stuck at home? And then, you know, are there thoughts about how sports will be able to move forward, and specifically for MMA, right? Are you going to play the empty arenas? Like what's some of the thinking there?
So yeah, for sure. I mean, if you look at all the major global sports properties, you know, NFL, NBA, EPL, Major League Baseball, NASCAR, every major global, I mean, 95% of the global sports properties are right now down. They're just not up and running. We've been pumping out a lot of content on social and digital, as well as obviously our TV broadcast partners every week with specials and highlights and the best moments of and documentaries of our heroes and whatnot. And this is crazy, but we just hit a record high, all-time high in organic video views on social and digital last month, all-time record high for us. So our numbers just, you know, if you look at this year's numbers, they're just climbing like that. I guess people are staying home enjoying more content. Our TV ratings, even though they're not live, are also very, very strong. Not record-breaking, occasionally record-breaking, but not record-breaking. And our online merchandise sales has just gone vertical. It's just like the last 2 months has just gone vertical. So, you know, yes, we're at the heart of it. We are a sports media property. We have to broadcast live events, and we will be up and running again this summer. And yeah, it's not going to be for a crowd. It's going to be for broadcast only. And that's what matters anyways. I mean, if you think about what matters, you know, for us, we want to make sure we get to that, you know, 1 billion viewers per live event, right? Where 1 billion people are actually watching live through our distribution house. So there's many things we can still do. We can expand our partnerships, and which we have new partnerships. So whether it's ByteDance in China, whether it's, video.com in Indonesia, we're expanding our digital partnerships, so our content is able to proliferate even more. So it's not just on TV, but on all different digital platforms, not just YouTube or Facebook, etc. So that's what we're doing. We're focusing on everything that we can do except for events. And luckily for us, all of our metrics continue to hit record highs or are very strong in different markets. And so, yeah, I mean, is it a hiccup? Definitely. Is it tough times? Definitely. I mean, I'm not going to mince words. This is definitely the third most difficult time in the history of one championship. There are 2 other times that were far, far more difficult, where I thought, we couldn't make payroll and the company was finished. That was several years ago.
And then, so, I mean, it's great that your views are going up. It obviously makes sense. It's logical. Are you seeing the same? I mean, what are you thinking about for esports? Because it's a relatively new business area for you. And so what are you thinking about the future of esports?
So with esports, we've been hosting online tournaments. So the beautiful thing about esports, right, is you can throw live events in a stadium, which is obviously, we'd like to do that as well. But every week, every month, we're throwing live events online. So you can have, so Mobile Legends tournament, you can have 4,000 gamers around the region competing, right, for a prize, and they're just playing from home, playing from their internet coffee shops. So there's and that's also another. In addition to the millennial fan base, 80% of our audience is millennials, and after we did a lot of research and we realized we went into esports, it actually had a huge overlap between our fan base and people who game and on mobile devices. And actually, if you think about the mobile device, right, in terms of content, what are the most watched or used content, full stop, for millennials? It's gaming and martial arts. They don't watch soccer. The game is too long, the ball is too small on a mobile device, right? I mean, you can't even see it on a mobile device. Forget about basketball, you can't see the ball dribble. Forget about tennis, you can't even see the ball. Golf, okay, can't even see anything. So the funny, and again, I feel like I'm Forrest Gump because I didn't know that we would be the #1 content on mobile devices, right? Entertainment content. I just love martial arts. I'm a martial artist, and I want to show the beauty of it. But martial arts is perfect for the mobile device. Perfect, because it's short form, 2 to 3 minutes, high action, and you can see everything. All other sports, cricket, baseball, basketball, tennis, you can't. So they're just not built for mobile.
All right. So with that, I'm just going to pause on the Fireside chat bit, and we're going to switch over to Q&A. There's a ton. I don't think we'll get through them all. Sorry, guys. Before we get to the questions, I just want to put a quick plug for a Tech in Asia conference that we have coming up in a month. So it's our annual product development conference. It's going online in July. The theme this year is pivoting products in the pandemic, which is very relevant to what Chatri has been speaking about. We'll be featuring product leaders from Southeast Asia, China, and Silicon Valley to share their tips, lessons, and guidance on how to manage a tech product through these challenging times. And I think the team is putting up a link in the chat box so you can learn more. All right, plug done. Thanks. So Chatri, let's see. There's a question from a viewer. What's your take on the talent pool for a niche organization such as one? Do you look at other industry sales professionals? So I think this one goes much more to how do you build, how do you build up a team to kind of and maintain that culture as well as it's growing at the speed that you're growing at.
So today the incoming resumes we get, incoming CVs we get is literally best of the best from all industries, all walks of life, but genuinely people who have far better CVs and resumes than I do. Really, really incredible individuals. That wasn't always the case. Like, as I said, the first 3 years, no one applied. We put out a job posting, and no one wants to join a sports media program. What is that? Asia has nothing. Why would actually everyone said, Chatri, Asia doesn't need a sports property because we already watch F1 or Champions League or EPL or Olympics or NASCAR. We don't. It's on TV. Why would we need an Asian sports property? And of course, with One Championships, trajectory, we've attracted, and our investor bases, and our metrics, we've definitely attracted the best of the best now. And actually, a lot of our best people have no sports media background, have no industry expertise per se. They just end up being superstars or rock stars from different industries that have a skill set that can bring to One Championship and learn the IP very quickly. And so that's what we've seen. Of course, we do have like the VP of strategy from NBA left NBA to come to One Championship. We have things like that happening all the time too, but it's for the most part, I would say our biggest superstars don't necessarily have a background of sports media or media. They might come from the tech industry. Our chief commercial officer, Hari, came from Lazada and Amazon, and he knew nothing about sports. Coming on board, and he ramped up the curve, and he's an absolute superstar leader. I would personally work for him any day. And that's
I know Hari. He's great. I can attest to that.
Yes. So and getting so again, he just pinged me one day on LinkedIn. He said, Chatri, I've been following you for a year. Do you want to have coffee? And I normally don't check LinkedIn because I get too many messages and I just don't have time to reply. And I don't know why I opened it that day and I read Hari's and I felt compelled to reply to him. I don't know why. The way he wrote the message or whatever. And we had coffee and he came over to my office and and one thing led to another. And he joined us about a year and a half ago. And it has been a big part of the rocket ship. So again, we have people from all walks of life.
Yeah. And similarly, I mean, when you're bringing people in from all these different industries and backgrounds, how do you kind of maintain and grow the culture that you want for your company?
That's so funny you asked that because yesterday I had a training session with our leaders, our top 20 leaders. on exactly that, on hiring people, and what do we look for, and what is a successful hiring process. So we give out a one job offer for every 200 applicants. I mean, I always joke it's harder to get into any get into one champion than it is to any other school. Getting to Harvard is 1 in 12 easy, right? And it was very rigorous. And what are some of the key things we look for? Obviously, we look for values, right? We want to make sure that the values are aligned. We look for what we internally call the PhD factor: poor, hungry, determined. You can have the best CV in the world. You can be the most smartest person in the world, but if you don't have poor, hungry, determined attitude and spirit, right? It's not about your bank account. There are certain people we all know. We have friends who are really, really just hungry, and they want to do something with their life. And then we have some friends who are just kind of like 9 to 5, check in, check out, and hey, oh, that's a hot start. Let me join Facebook. Oh, they're not in the game of life. They're to ride something. We look for the PhD factor: poor, hungry, determined. We look for people who are, and another way to look at the PhD factor is passionate, humble, and dedicated. We look for the PhD factor, and then that's one of the keys to success, I believe, in One Championship, is that, every leader that has come on board in One Championship, their first month, they'll sit down with me and they'll say, Chatri, I've never seen such an incredibly passionate, intense, fast-moving group in my entire life. It's crazy. I don't know how you do it, and they already feel overwhelmed, right? Because the culture is so intense. But I love that because it keeps me sharp. It keeps our company sharp. It might be intimidating for some people, and I can definitely see that One Champ is definitely not for everybody, right? If you're not committed to self-excellence, to self-growth, learning, and being humble about learning and growing, it's a very tough environment. If you're used to being a superstar, you walk in and you're the biggest superstar in the room. Well, I'm sorry. At One Championship, everybody is a superstar, and to stand out is almost impossible. But we are, a rock star team, and that's why we've been able to break all records in history as a sport. And we're the world's fastest growing global sports property in history. Full stop. And I would not say it's me. I would say it's my team. Genuinely, their PhD factor. I've been very blessed to serve an incredible team.
And kind of along those lines, I mean, can you build resilience? Is it an innate trait? And, how do you build resilience for?
Well, actually, you're asking so many great questions. I mean, I'm really happy asking it. Like, I told my leadership team yesterday, and I told them a few times during this whole last 2 months at home. I said, guys, one thing is, I'm so thankful for this global crisis of once in 100 years. Because I said, guys, we get to see each other's true colors. Now I get to see whether, you join One Championship because Sequoia invested in us, or you join One Championship because you really believe in the mission. I get to see how resilient you are. I get to see how tough and gritty you are. But also, I said, this is the greatest learning opportunity of our entire lives. Every day we have new problems we've never seen before because of this homestay and everything, and this quarantine. And we need creativity and we need resilience in order to solve them, right? And so the things we're going to learn about ourselves, about each other, and the new tools and skills that we're going to learn, it's once in 100 years that you get to learn this. So again, I said, let's be thankful, let's be appreciative. Let us remember the lessons. Let's write them down. Let's cherish this opportunity, because 5 years from now, it'll just be another memory. But the lessons we carry with us will be forever. And so again, it's an incredible time to learn and grow. And that's how I view adversity. And maybe it's my martial arts training. Maybe it's when I train normally, I train with world champions every day. And even though I've been doing martial arts for 35 years, there's a big difference between me and a world champion. A world champion literally beats the crap out of me, right? And why do I go train and get beat up every day? It's like, of course, does it hurt my feelings sometimes? And yeah, but I'm so committed to my self-growth and learning. I would rather train with a world champion who beats me to a pulp than train with a beginner that I beat to a pulp. Because if I beat somebody up, it's like I don't learn anything. But if with a world champion, they'll teach me an infinite amount of knowledge. That's how I am with my team. I learned so much from my team. And again, for everyone, all the Tech in Asia audience, don't be sucked into the negativity of this global crisis, look at all the blessings and all the incredible lessons. Just even being able to stay home with your family or your kids or whatever it is, that's a blessing. Being able to walk in the park, that's a blessing. All the things we used to take for granted, but also the precious lessons that we're all going to learn as leaders, startup entrepreneurs, as startup people. These are incredible. These are incredible times.
All right, I could not have scripted a better end to this session, so I think we will cut it off there. Thank you so much, Chatri. Thanks for your time and sharing all these amazing wisdom bombs, and yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Maria. I really appreciate your time, and everybody out there, be well, stay safe. Thanks a lot, guys.
Bye, everyone.